Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another YouTube session. I hope everyone is good and I hope everyone had a very profitable week. All the pairs that we shared last week went crazy as always, as usual, guys. So guys, today we'll be looking at 2467 pairs. I'll be taking a look at 7 pairs real quick. So I'll look at DXY, USDJPY, USDCAD, CADJPY, German 30. I'll look at EuroJPY, and then I'll end up with Nasdaq. Okay, so let me just put the indices close together just like that. So okay, I'm gonna start with the DXY, guys. If you remember DXY from last week, I said that we were expecting that we get a third touch here and a push to the downside, of which we did get that third touch and a push to the downside. Okay, so if I go to the 4-hour time frame now, what we'll be waiting for is to see if this DXY is going to give us a continuation, right? So that's what we'll be waiting for, guys, on DXY next week. So we can see that here already we have this impulse, we have this correction, we have the impulse, the correction, we have the impulse. Now we are correcting, we're expecting another impulse to the downside. Okay, so obviously from here this will be our 90, and then this will be our first take profit area, which will be somewhere here. So this will be our 90 of this structure, and then from the 90 of this structure, this is where we'll be expecting a more complex correction, right? So we'll just wait for it. So from here we'll be willing to take this move all the way to the downside here. All right, so this will be a continuation. So this is an impulse, is a correction, and then this is a continuation. So we are still continuing to the downside here on DXY, guys, from last week, right? So some of our members got the buy from there, from the third touch here, and then some of our members got it from the left shoulder here. So guys, if you're still in, please, now it's time to manage your profits. You can just check here and move to break even. Okay, so moving right along, I'll go to USDJPY. I have USDJPY, which is very quite interesting because USDJPY also moved the same as DXY. Okay, so what I was seeing here on USDJPY from the bigger time frame, or from the bigger time frame, which is the highest time frame, which is my daily, is the fact that, okay, let me just go to the weekly so that you guys can see something here. Okay, so let me just break this down to you here in USDJPY. I want you to look at something very interesting here in USDJPY. So what we need to understand here in USDJPY is the fact that this was our previous high, right? This was our previous high on the weekly, and then here obviously this is our low. So now what we want to understand is that, as you can see, that here when this price was moving down, we're moving in a downwards trend, right? We're moving in a downwards trend. And then this trend that was moving right here, it gave us a structure, it gave us a descending structure, right? And then after that, what happens here is that here on the third touch, what happens, it breaks out. And how did it break out? It breaks out impulsively. And remember, when price breaks out impulsively, we are expecting that it will go all the way to the 90, right? So after breaking out impulsively, we have this impulse, and then this big correction, and now we're at this impulse, right? So this is the 90. You're waiting for the 90 here, and then that's where we'll be looking for trades, right? So now what we're gonna do now, we're quickly just gonna go to, we're still here on the weekly. So what we can see here on the weekly is how price is going there, right? We want to understand how price is moving. So what we can see here now, I'm just going to highlight this lowest low as the weekly, and then I'll highlight this recent string high which was broken, right? So now I'll quickly just go to the daily. I'll quickly just drop to the daily. Okay, so now here on the daily, I have to understand one thing. Okay, I have to understand something here on the daily, is that we still have the 90 here, which is yet to be taken out, right? We still have the 90 here, which is yet to be taken out, right? So I could still be expecting that this move could just come here and give me a correction here and go and complete this 90 before it goes to the downside, right? So if this price does this, it will be indeed giving me a structure that I can fall back to. It will be giving me a structure like this. So this is what exactly I'll be waiting for. I'll be waiting for this price to come back here, give me this touch here, and then all the go to the upside to give me that 90%, right? So now from the daily, let me just quickly drop to the 4-hour and see what we have here on the 4-hour. Okay, guys, it's good to understand multi-time frame analysis, guys. It's very good to understand. So this is my previous high. We just broke those highs. So now what we need to understand is that now price needs to come back, right? It has to come back and retest, right, before it goes up. So for me, I would not take a sell here, although this would be a good position to sell, but knowing that this sell could just be a fake sell-off to catch retail traders on the wrong side of the market, and then the market will come, then push to the upside, give us the 90% rule here, and then from giving us the 90% rule, this is then maybe we can expect that move to the downside. So on USDJPY, guys, I will be playing it safe coming this week. So I'll be just taking a look at what is happening with my price right there. So let me just go quickly to the 1 hour. I will be playing it safe here on USDJPY. So just wait. But then if we do get something like this, then if we get something like this, if we get a 3-touch pattern like this, then I would be willing to take this trade. Okay, if we get a 3-touch pattern like this, then I will be willing to take this trade. Okay, if this gives us something like this, let me just draw it nicely so that you guys can see. If this one gives me a correction like this, okay, if it gives me this type of correction, then I would be willing to come and take this trade as a sell position. Okay, I will be willing to take that sell position, right? So I'll be expecting for something like this. If it gives me this type of a correction, then I would obviously take that sell position on the 3rd touch going down. Okay, but then now we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. All right, so now let's move right along. We got USDCAD. USDCAD from last week also, guys. Remember we said we were expecting 2 things. Either we get the 3rd touch here or we get the override via the double top. But then we get the override via the double top, and then obviously we push to the downside. And then after pushing to the downside, we have this correction here. We still have the entry, and then now we are pushing to the downside again. So now, guys, what's going to happen now? Obviously, you know what happens. We break out impulsively. So we have triggered the 90%. We are going to come to the 90%, and then from here, this is where then now maybe we can expect to get a bigger correction to go to the downside, right? This is where we can expect a bigger correction to go to the downside. And if possible, what I'm seeing is that we might actually have something like head and shoulder, right? We might actually have something like a head and shoulder before going to the downside. So it is possible that this move will go to here and then it will go up before moving to the downside. So obviously those guys who are in the premium, we know how we're going to catch these moves, guys. We know how we're going to catch these moves, just as we managed to catch these moves from here. So we'll know how to scale in from here, okay? So now moving right along, I'll go to CADJPY. CADJPY was actually looking very interesting. From last week, you remember, guys, we said that we have this structure and we're expecting that here on the 3rd touch of this structure, we'll get a reversal, right? But then now, price broke out impulsively. So now, if I can just go to the weekly, just to check what exactly is happening here. Okay, so this is what is happening here in the weekly. This is what I can see on this CADJPY. We have a structure which looks something like this. Okay, we have a structure. Okay, we have this area of significance right there. Okay, so we do have an area of significance right on top of where price broke out, which is somewhere here. So now what we'll be waiting for is for this price to see a reaction of this price. If this price now, because we can see that this is an impulse and there's a correction, and then we're expecting that here on the 3rd touch we'll get a push to the downside, right? We're expecting that here on the 3rd touch we'll get a push to the downside, but instead the market pushed up. So now what we want to see, if this market is going to come back down, we want to see a strong impulse rejection, right? A strong impulse rejection, which will give us a correction to go to the downside, right? So if that happens, then we can be able to take our trades. Or if this trade decides to give us something like this, then we can still be able to take our trade as a head and shoulder, okay? So now if I go to the daily time frame just to check what's happening here on the daily time frame, this is looking nice. Okay, there we go, there we go. We still have price that pushed out here, but then up until now, I'm still waiting to see what is going to happen here. We have an impulse. Now we want to see what type of correction are we going to get exactly here, right? So let me just take this out. Quickly go to the 4-hour. So now we can see here on the 4-hour, we have this impulse, we have this correction, and then this price failed to give us another impulse, right? It failed to give us another impulse, and this is an area of confluence, right? So now we just want to see if this move is going to give us this sort of a correction here to continue to the upside, right? It is possible that this move can give us this sort of a correction here to continue to the upside, right? Remember, we deal with the possible and the probable, so it might give us this movement to the upside, of which if I go to the weekly, it does make sense because I have this as my highest area of significance, right? I have this as my highest area of significance here. So this price might still be able to push a bit to the upside up until here. So we'll just be waiting to see, because we can see that, okay, this was my previous area of significance. So now I just want to see, let me just go to the daily. Now I just want to understand exactly what this price is going to do. If it does that, then obviously we'll take the move to the upside. But then if this move then decides to be that big expanding reversal, right? It just decides to, if we don't see any progression here at all, if we don't see any progression here at all, and then it decides to just, we'll know again how to take this trade, okay? So we are not married to our buyers. We'll wait for the market to come to us, and then we'll be able to execute as it is. Okay, so moving right along, I'll go to EURJPY, guys. If you remember EURJPY, guys, we sent this one out on Friday. It was a sell position which we sent out on Friday. All right, we sent this one out on Friday on our free Telegram group. So we sent it out. It was somewhere here, and then those who managed to eat it all, the take profits were here. They managed to bag themselves some 12%. Okay, so now again here on EURJPY, it's still the same thing. We managed to break out. You can see this is the impulse, then there's a correction, and then there's a 190, right? And then price broke out here impulsively, activating the 90% rule. So what we want to understand is that what exactly happens when price gets here, and then we can see that we get a rejection. So if this price is to reject here, then what will be stopping the price to coming all the way down here, right? So now if we just go to the 1 hour, we managed to take this sell position. We managed to take this sell position from here based on this expanding, right? We managed to take this sell position from here. We get this expanding, we got this big 1 hour retracement candle, and then that was our entry, and then we have this 12% locked in. So now what we can do now is that we're just going to wait for this market to give us more as to where it's going to go, right? As to where it's going to go. So we'll be waiting to take this move to the downside still, but it will depend on what is going to happen, because as you can see, this structure here was still incomplete. So if this structure decides to be something like this, and then it just becomes something more complex, then we'll be, because you can see how this price moves, it is a bit complex. So if it decides to be complex, we'll see how it goes. So for now, we'll just wait and see how price develops, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so guys, actually take a look at German 30. So if I can just go quickly to the daily time frame here on German 30, guys, we are on a downtrend, so that needs no discussions. We are on a downtrend, and then from here we reached bottom. And then from this bottom, obviously, we are still on a downtrend. We have this price moving down here. And then now we have this impulse. And then this, for me, it's a correction. Okay, this for me is a correction. Whatever is happening here, this is a correction right here. Okay. So if this price now, if this is a correction, if this is an impulse, and then this is a correction, then what I'm waiting for is that I'll be waiting for this 1, 2, 3. It's either get this third touch here to go to the downside, or I can get an override from this double top to go to the downside, right? So all in all, I'll still be waiting for my move to come here. I'll still be waiting to take short positions to go to the downside, right? But then if this move decides to do otherwise, then that I will decide to change my bias, right? If this move breaks here, right? Remember, guys, this is the last high here that I'm looking at. So if this price breaks this high, and then it comes here and give me a correction here, a continuation correction, obviously I will change my bias and I will be looking to take the move to the upside. But from what I'm seeing now, and from this structure, we are not yet at the 90% of this structure. We broke out impulsively. We are still waiting for the 90%, and then here we are in the red zone, and then in the red zone we have this big flag. So when this big flag is opening, I know that I'm expecting 1, 2, 3, and then move to the downside. So guys, this is one of those that let me just save the chat here so that I can be able to send that. I'll be waiting for a move to the downside. Okay, so if I can also go to NASDAQ 100, guys, NASDAQ 100, I'm also seeing sort of the same thing. I'm also seeing a move to the downside here also. I can see an impulse here, but what I can see here, all this for me, it's a correction, right? I don't know what they're telling you, what you are seeing out there, but for me, this is a correction. So what I can see is that we have this impulse, and then we are still in a big correction. Then now, what's going to happen here is that now here, that's where I want to see, this is a big flag zone, right? This is a big flag zone. So we can see from here, remember this, from here to here, this is the orange, this is the green zone, and then here now we can see we are in the amber zone. So in the amber zone, we're expecting some big flags, right? So this is what is going to happen now. We're going to get this big flag happening here, and then this is where then now this move will push to the downside, and then from here we'll get to see what's going on, because the bigger time frame, guys, if you look at the bigger time frame, everything is still pointing downwards. We are still on a downwards trend, right? It's still on a downward trend. And the fundamentals still agree that, guys, we are going down on these indices, the Nasdaqs and the likes. We are still going down. We still have some more to go. So looking at the structure and looking at the market, I still like to see this move go down there. And then again, if I can just go to the daily time frame, this is my structure for Nasdaq. I have these bottoms. I have this nice 2 bottoms right here. Okay, I have these 2 nice expanding right here. So I can also take this one and put it in expanding like this. This can be an expanding like that. okay, because that's what it's doing either way. So now what we can see now here is that now we are expanding. So after here we'll be expecting that, okay, we can get that move. That's why we're saying that on this zone where we are now, this is the zone where we get complex structures, right? Complex structures. So we'll just wait and see. For me, this is not a bullish price action. We have not yet changed. We are still very much bearish. So I'll just wait and see how price plays out. Okay, I'll just wait and see how price plays out. So we are still very much bearish, as we can see. So let's just wait and see how price plays out on Nasdaq, guys. I hope you guys enjoy, and happy trading, guys. Happy trading. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any question, don't forget to, you can contact us on Telegram or on Instagram at Not Capital. And then Telegram, our link to Telegram is there. And then on our Instagram is Not Capital. And then obviously we'll get to you guys. Okay, so guys, also if you're interested in joining the premium, guys, do give us those DMs, and then obviously we'll let you know how it goes and all that. Because remember, guys, our mentorship, it's way unique with other guys. Like we always say, it's way unique with other guys. So what we do is that we actually have to work with you, right? Because with our mentorship, when you pay our mentorship, our full price for mentorship is 400 USD. And then what you do is that we take that 400 USD and then we divide it into two. And then you take 50%, which is 200 USD, you as a first payment, right? 200 USD as a first payment, you pay it to us, and then 200 USD you fund your account. Then when we are teaching you, we are busy taking trades, right? And then at a maximum or a minimum of a month, a maximum of 3 months, your account will be at 200%, right? So it will be at 400, at 600% again, and then now you, from your account, you pay back the balance, and then your account will be left with 400. So that's basically what we do, guys, and then nobody's losing. So guys, let's keep it real, let's get it going, guys. Let's get it going. I hope you enjoy the content that we're providing, guys. Cheers.